A common question I get is, can I heal from mind-body concerns by just distracting myself from my pain, symptoms, or sensations? So let's talk about this. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have an exciting topic. I even wore my happy shirt for this video. And so I want to talk about distraction because I get a lot of comments asking, can I just distract myself to heal? Can I just distract myself from my pain, symptoms, sensations long enough that they'll just go away? And the answer is really no, but I want to explain this in detail. And I get it. I remember distracting myself when I was in pain. That's really the only skill I had for a long time. So I would just try and run away from the pain as much as I could. But the thing about distraction is it's just avoidance. And, I have nothing against avoidance because a little bit of avoidance is okay, especially when our pain or symptoms are really high. It makes sense that we avoid it, that we do everything we can to avoid being in pain. And sometimes that involves distraction. But when that's the only skill we're using, it's not going to help us heal in the long run. Because when we're healing from mind-body concerns, we actually need to approach. We need to approach the pain. We need to approach the symptoms. We need to approach difficult emotions and just our life in general. But if we're always just distracting ourselves, we're never actually approaching anything. Because the more we avoid, the more we distract ourselves, the more the brain gets the message that, there must be something really wrong with the body because they're frantically running away from it. And I even wore this happy shirt because it's not just approaching pain or emotions, but it's also approaching life. And in PRT, these are different things: distraction and actually moving towards pleasant experiences and sensations in the body. They're different because, like I've said, distraction is running away from something, where moving towards something pleasant or a really fun hobby or an exciting social event, that's running towards something. That's actually starting to live your life again. So I know it sounds like I'm talking about semantics, but they are slightly different things, and they are going to result in a different outcome for you in terms of healing. But what we need to do overall, as I said, is we need to approach. And so that's why I have lots of videos on somatic tracking, because distracting ourselves from our pain or symptoms, it's just not going to be useful in the long run because it's going to increase fear. And so what we actually need to do is slowly starting to approach them and learn to feel safe with them. And so I have lots of videos on somatic tracking that you can go and check out, but it's finding a way that you can slowly approach the symptom and reduce the fear or frustration or despair. Because that way, when it ever spikes, and most of us aren't going to recover without having, a setback here and there. And so when it spikes, we're in a better place to respond with ease and lightness because we've practiced. So definitely include this in your recovery. But I think the other thing that we need to talk about is emotions. Is a lot of people just distract themselves from their emotions. And again, this is just you avoiding your emotions, avoiding your emotional state. But what we need to actually do is drop in and be with the sensations of emotions in our body. And I know this can be really scary, but even if it's just for, 30 seconds at first, and all you're really doing is scanning your body and noticing where you feel anger or where you feel sadness. But by doing that, you're slowly starting to approach being in your body again. My goal with people when I'm working with them is not just to get rid of the pain or symptoms. My goal is to help make their body a safe place to live. And the only way we can start making it a safe place to live is if we approach and actually be in our body and learn to feel safe there. And so I have a video on 5 steps. I think it's called 5 steps to feeling your emotions, and starting to do this process, whether it's just identifying, whether it's approaching or learning to explore, or learning to actually sit with it and give ourselves messages of safety that this is okay. Now, I think maybe I'll get a lot of comments from this video about distraction, and distraction's okay, but just limit it, because we need to actually start approaching things in our life to heal. And instead of distracting, like I said at the beginning of this video, see if you can actually move towards things that are enjoyable and that you actually want to do in life. Instead of running away from your pain or symptoms or emotions, actually approach life. Because that's the point of this. It's not just to get rid of our pain or symptoms. It's so that we can live the life that we want. And sometimes healing starts when we actually just start to live life. And I know this can be hard when the symptoms are high, but it's finding little ways to do this. When I was in pain, I've explained at the end of my journey, like I was barely moving. And so, starting to live life at first was pretty limiting, but I just started small, whether it was going out for dinner with friends or watching fun TV shows with my wife. Like I started to slowly approach. And when I was ready, I started working again, and my life just slowly built out from there. But what I needed to do is approach. And even as you start to live life, there's going to be some pain or symptoms. That's kind of the point. And so when that happens, we can learn to be with the symptoms and slowly continue to move forward. Now, of course, if the pain's a 10 out of 10, we're going to need to use some distraction and avoidance, but it's kind of a back and forth. You're not always going to be ahead as you're, in this process of healing. Sometimes there's going to be setbacks, and there needs to be some short-term acceptance of that. But when the pain's more mild to moderate, we can still practice approaching it and approaching our life, because that's the only way that we'll start to widen our world. So I hope this video was helpful. And for those of you who've asked this question, gave you some answers around it. So please put your questions or comments down below, hit the like button, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you all next time. Take care. Today, we have an exciting topic, and I even wore my happy shirt because of how excited I am to talk about it. Oh, it's terrible. Today, I wore my happy shirt. So try to be happy as you watch this. Oh man, it's terrible. It's awful.